Hello, good morning, or good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, depending. Today, here in Arizona, it's 8:33 a.m. and it's Saturday, November 15th, 2025. The energy of the day so far feels kind of like a really soft pillow or like a very soft landing. Um, or like, after running a marathon, that first really good night's sleep. That's what it feels like. The dreams continue to be wacky. Um, but it's all good. Let's get some cards going. And I also want to thank a listener from a few days ago. I think they were on Thursday. They said, speak more slowly. And I'm working on that. In fact, I rewatched yesterday's uh, broadcast, I guess you could say. And I think that's why the subtitles didn't even work. The closed caption is because I was just on fire yesterday, moving very fast, thinking very fast, and talking very fast. So I will work on those things. I'm just pulling some decks. Okay, I have 3 decks. We'll start. Shamanic Healing. I am admittedly not awake, and I'm starting my morning a little differently with I forget the name of this tea. It's really good for your nervous system, your adrenals. I love coffee, so I'm already high strung. So maybe I shall start with tea today. Anybody have any exciting stories from yesterday? I have plenty. Yesterday was a wild day. It was a wild, wild west. And then I ended up watching this really funny show. It was a movie. And apparently a lot of people did not like it, but I thought it was hilarious. It's called Playdate, and the reason why I wanted to watch it is because I saw that Alan Richson is in it, and then, much to my surprise and awe and pleasure, I guess you could say, also Alan Tudyk was in it. I don't know if I'm saying his name right, but the guy from Resident Evil. Um, Anyways, it was super stupid, super funny. I love Alan Richson. I've watched all of the Reachers, and I used to watch Blue Mountain State, so it was kind of like him in both of those roles, and he's just so goofy. And so is Alan Tudyk. Not sure how you say it, but if you haven't seen Resident Evil, I'm sorry, not Resident Evil, Resident Alien. It's hilarious. Hilarious. Anyway, I love funny stuff. My go-to a lot of the times, if it's just like, especially in the holiday season when everything's just like so tense, and you're just like, because everybody's rushing to get all their stuff done. It's always sunny in Philadelphia. So those are my non-spiritual outlets, I guess you could say. But it's all part of it. So whatever you enjoy. For me to get out of my head sometimes, it just takes watching Frank Reynolds and his skinny. Oh, there's a dog. Oh, okay, he's on a leash. I saw a dog and I didn't think he was on a leash. And I was like, that's a well-behaved dog. Oh, he's coming around the bend. Oh, there he is. All right, cool. All right, so I have 3 cards. I'll show you all first. Let it sink in. It does look like it's upside down, so I'm going to turn it around. And so when I started reading cards, it was actually on a February 14th. I think it was 2019. I could be wrong, but there's a place in town here that my friends run called the Ascension Chamber, my friends Maria and Chad, and they had a heart chakra. And Maria said, Brooke, you're going to do angel card readings. And I was like, I don't even know what that is. And I had a line of people and I pulled 5 cards, including, and this is what I do on Thursdays at Beal Beans. I'm not going to talk when I turn because I know you can't hear it. I realize that. So yeah, I would have someone sit down. I would pull 5 cards. One of them was one of my Moo cards that has, it's my business card, and it has the 5 different chakras on the back, or excuse me, on the front. 7, the 7 chakras that most people are familiar with, I guess I could say. And then on the back, there's a variety. And this is the one I pulled for today. Okay, so trust yourself in your knowing. But anyways, it was just very cool because I'd never done it before. But I had been working with clients one-on-one doing medical intuitive work, because that is pretty much what I did right after I left pharmacy. I got attuned in Reiki 1 and 2. Obviously 3 was later, or the master was later. But so just sat down, trial by fire, guys. Sat down, pulled 5 cards, and just felt what came through and didn't question it, because it's soft. Often, even though it's soft, it's almost like it's wanting you to say it. And sometimes you're like, oh man, I don't know this person. I'm gonna sound crazy. Why would I know this? And then you say it, and depending on the person, they're either like, oh yeah, that totally resonates. Or my favorite was this one girl. She came super earthy energy. And I always tell people, tell me as much or as little as you want. And this person decided not to tell me anything. And she even admitted she was highly skeptical. She didn't admit that till the end, but I ended up giving her such a complete reading that answered all of her questions that she had, that she didn't speak out loud. And she said, I was very skeptical, and wow, I'm starting to believe now. So, you know, obviously use your discernment, but if the only thing holding you back from saying what's coming to you intuitively about a card that you're reading for another person is you're going to feel silly, well, might as well try, because there's worse things than being silly. But so basically, where do you feel the card first? Sometimes it will be like a light up sign in your brain with a word or a phrase. Sometimes you'll see like a symbol that means something to you, like a seashell or a telephone, or maybe you'll smell your great Annie I's perfume and you'll say, oh, this person has a lot of grace. It just comes in a lot of different forms. Understand and discern each one of your psychic gifts. And I do wholeheartedly believe that everyone has all of them. Obviously, some of us are more in tune with certain of them more than the others. Like for me, I'm a feeler. So I will feel things. But I still get that sign. It's like a neon sign in my brain, or like a whisper of like a cloud with words. It's hard to explain, but it's just, it can be different for everyone. Some people actually will hear things inside of their head, much like you can talk to yourself inside of your head and no one can hear you, right? Maybe you get a tingling sensation in your left shoulder, or a twitching in one of your fingers. And then, when you're working with yourself over and over and over again, doing this, it becomes natural. So I left you with this card for a while. And that's the thing too. I'm not particularly interested in a lot of rules, which makes sense because my chart, I have a Capricorn descendant, and then my Saturn, so my Saturn would rule my 7th house, which is where my Capricorn descendant is. And then also my Saturn is conjunct my North Node in my third house of communication. So I have a little bit of that tendency to perfectionism, um, but I don't have that, like, I have, I guess you could say, pretty strong disruptor energy, and like way showing, like leading by example type of thing. I've always been this person that when there was something that was being done a certain way, and I was like, well, what about this? What about that? What about this? I guess why I'm saying that is because the first time I ever really read cards, besides to myself, was in that group setting in what I would call a trial by fire. And it was scary. Stepping into your power often is, but it was amazing. And it was completely unexpected. And to this day, I still don't follow the rules. I read intuitively because that's what works for me. So I let it communicate with me multidimensionally. So let's take a look at this card. Oh my gosh, you guys, that's so embarrassing. I'm sorry. You can't even see it. Well, you know what? Maybe, maybe you were getting deep cellular healing. But just let this card sink in. It's just what you feel, what you intuit, what you sense. So to me, this card has so much energy. Deep cellular healing. That's what happens when we rest. That's what happens when we allow ourselves to simply be. And I really like this card because to me it represents, like, I think a lot of the Andromeda galaxy. It does say, excuse me, Arcturus, which, if you know about um galactic history, and I am not by any means an expert, but a lot of energies did come, well, I guess you could almost say that every single energy kind of came from Andromeda. Um, I'm forgetting a lot of it. I'm now realizing, but it's very interesting to me. And then Arcturus energy, Arcturus is one of the main, I believe, way stations or portals. And Arcturus energy, yeah, just look that up if you're interested more in it, because I don't want to speak on something that I don't have all the knowledge on at this time. But to me, the colors are very cosmic. And when I think of the cosmic heart of the galaxy, I think of Andromeda, which gave birth to our galaxy. I see the columns and the pillars, and that reminds me of like ancient Greece. And then there's just water. So to me, this very much feels like an interdimensional way station, almost like you're checking in with all of the versions of yourself that you have ever been and that you will ever be, however you want to call it, because time runs concurrently, but physical and emotional healing. And it almost looks like she's in a seashell, but then it almost looks like they're feathers. And there's lots of water and like stardust energy. And if you look really closely, there's her main face, and then there's like a shadowy version of her face. So I'm feeling like where in your body, in your mind, in your soul, maybe not so much, but where uh, where's your love for yourself not congruent? Like where are you needing to love yourself more? Where are you being too hard on yourself? That's kind of the gist I see of this card. And if you know the answer to that question already, well, then you know the answer to that. If you don't, then sit in the silence and let it come to you. And then, of course, you know what's best for you. Everybody outside of you that helps you, whether it's a doctor, whether it's a healer, whether it's someone like me who comes to help you get closer to your true self. We're all tools, just like labels. When you go to the doctor and they say, oh, well, you have PTSD or you have this ailment or that ailment. Um, I would be interested actually to see what the Latin roots of diagnosis were because I feel like so often people feel like it's like this stamp and like this is you forever. And in fact, there are very many ailments that the medical community will say are incurable. Um, I believe that we all know what's best for ourselves, but we really have to clear that energetic debris to really get to know ourselves at the deepest level. To really get to know ourselves at the deepest level. What's up, sir? No, you need to eat breakfast. I'll be right out. A lolly. Gotta love him. 10 out of 10. He's just gonna have it anyways, but we'll see. Anyways, because maybe he knows what's best for himself, right? And we can talk about that another day, but I love children. They're the best. Oh my gosh, I've been rambling for 16 minutes. All right, card 2. So this is upside down. Immediately when I see this card, I hear it's not yours to carry. What the heck are you doing? What are you doing? Um, this card is telling you to rest because of something that your inner being wants to tell you, and it can't tell you if you're not in a moment of silence with yourself, if you're not in your center. This card's telling you that you know better what's best for you, and it's okay to ask other people, but sometimes then we might acquire new limiting beliefs. You know what I mean? Or maybe you're using a tool and people are telling you that, you know, it's not good for you or whatever, and you just are like, I'm just using it for a little while. I know it's a tool, it's just for me. Like maybe you smoke cigarettes when you're really stressed out, or it's like, I'm not I'm not here to judge anyone, and I'm also not here to, you know, tell people, "Oh, I'm giving you my permission." It's not like that. It's like you ask yourself. If someone else is saying, "Well, you need to quit smoking cigarettes." I mean, do you? You're the one who knows. Is it impacting your quality of life? You're the one who knows. But you're carrying someone else's baggage. Let that SHIT go. It's not yours to carry. And then our last card, which reduces to a 3. That's also kind of like that thing I keep going on about the 2 cups pouring into each other. Because creativity is the divine coming through your human body. The creativity can look like writing, singing, cooking, dancing, but it's getting fire energy out of your body. It's a form of channeling. And as you create, you inspire others to do the same. And of course, you're contributing to their cups from a cup that's overflowing. And it also looks like you're sustained and nourished. And there's also some really grounded energy supporting you. So we had the energy of the divine supporting us in this card, and our ancestors is what I would say, as referenced by the columns, and our galactic ancestors, or however you want to call it, as represented by the Andromedan energies. You know yourself the best. Trust yourself. Let go of what's not yours, and get creative with it. Write yourself write yourself a silly story. Just go to your computer or your paper, you know, go sit outside and listen to the birds and just start writing. Go sit near a tree and just start writing stuff down. Let your imagination go. Don't try to put a cap on it. All right. Thank you and enjoy your pillow day.